Paragraph 2. For there are 3 philosophical sects among the Jews, the followers of the first, whom are the Pharisees, of the second, the Sadducees, and the third sect, who pretends to a severer discipline called the Essenes. These last are Jews by birth and seem to have a greater affection for one another than the other sects have. Alright, just going into detail on the Essenes. These Essenes reject pleasures as an evil, but esteem continence and the conquest over our passions to be virtue. They neglect wedlock, but choose out other persons' children while they are pliable, which means when you're able to teach them, or when they coming up and fit for learning, and esteem them to be their kindred. All right, so they would adopt children and raise them up as Essenes. It says this, and form them according to their own manners. They do not absolutely deny the fitness of marriage and the succession of mankind thereby continue, but they guard against the lascivious behavior of women, and are persuaded that none of them preserve their fidelity to one man. That sounds very familiar to the way we think. These men are despisers of riches, and so very communicative as raises our admiration. Nor is there anyone to be found among them who have more than another, for it is a law among them that those who come to them must let what they have be common to the whole order, insomuch that among them all there is no appearance of poverty or excess of riches, but everyone's possessions are intermingled with everyone other's possessions, and so there is, as it were, one patrimony among all the brethren. They think that oil is a defilement, and if any one of them be anointed without his own approbation, it is wiped off of his body. For they think to be sweaty is a good thing, as they do also to be clothed in white garments. They also have stewards appointed to take care of their common affairs, who every one of them have no separate business for any, but what is for the use of them all. It says this, they have no certain city, but many of them dwell in every city. And if any of their sect come from other places, what they have lies open for them. What they have lies open for them, just as it were with their own. And they go into such as they never knew before, as if they had been ever so long acquainted with them. For which reason they carry nothing with them when they travel into remote parts, though still they take their weapons with them for fear of thieves. Accordingly, there is in every city where they live one appointed particularly to take care of strangers and to provide garments and other necessities for them. But the habit and management of their bodies is such as children use who are in fear of their masters, nor do they allow of the change of garments or of shoes till they be first entirely torn to pieces or worn out by time. Nor do they either buy or sell anything to one another, but every one of them gives what he had to him that wanted it, and receives from him again in lieu of it what may be convenient for himself. And although there be no requital made, they are fully allowed to take what they want of whomsoever they please. It goes on to say this, as for their piety towards God, it is very extraordinary. For before sunrising they speak not a word about profane matters, but put up certain prayers which they have received from their forefathers, as if they made supplication for its rising. After this, every one of them are sent away by their curators to exercise some of those arts wherein they are skilled, in which they labor with great diligence to the 5th hour. Now, this is reminiscent of, you got these Jewish rabbis, white guys that live out on these islands, and they pray all day. They pray while they're vacuuming the floor. They pray while they're painting. All right. Those who are but see, the members of these groups were real children of Israel. All right. For the most part, blacks, West Indian, Jamaicans, and Haitians. But you did have 10 tribes up in there still also. But like I said earlier, most of the 10 tribes had traveled over here to America already. All right, pursuant to scriptures in Second Esdras and pursuant to common history. It says this. After which they assembled in the 5th hour, talking about in the 5th hour, they assembled themselves together and again into one place. And when they have clothed themselves in white veils, they then bathe their bodies in cold water. And after this purification is over, they everyone meet together in an apartment of their own, into which it is not permitted to any of another sect to enter, while they go after a pure manner into the dining room, as into a certain holy temple, and quietly set themselves down, upon which the baker lays them loaves in order and cook. The cook also brings a single place of one sort of food and sets it before every one of them. But a priest says grace before meat, and it is unlawful for anyone to taste of the food before grace be said. The same priest, when he have dined, says grace again after meat. And when they begin and when they end, they praise the Most High, as he that bestows their food upon them. After which they lay aside their white garments and betake themselves to their labors again till the evening. Then they return to supper after the same manner. And if there be any strangers there they set down with them. Nor is there ever any clamor or disturbance to pollute their house, but they give everyone leave to speak in their turn, which silence thus kept in their house appears to foreigners like some tremendous mystery, the cause of which is that perpetual sobriety they exercise, and the same settled measure of meat and drink that is allotted to them, and that such is abundantly sufficient for them. And truly, as for other things, they do nothing but according to the injunctions of their curators. Only these two things are done among them at everyone's own free will, which are to assist those that want it and to show mercy. So they do those two things on their own accord, these Essenes. For they are permitted of their own accord to afford succor to such as deserve it, when they stand in need of it, and to bestow food on those that are in distress. But they cannot give anything to their kindred without curators. They dispense their anger after a just manner and restrain their passion. They are eminent for fidelity and are ministers of peace. Whatsoever they say also is firmer than an oath, but swearing is avoided by them. All right, so their word was their bond. It says this, and they esteem it worse than perjury, for they say that he who cannot be believed without swearing by God is already condemned. They also take great pains in studying the writings of the ancients and choose out of them what is the most for advantage of their soul and body. And they inquire after such roots as medicinal stones as may cure their distempers. It says this about the Essenes. Josephus gives a lengthy discourse on the Essenes, but I'm gonna keep reading it just for the edification, you know. It says this, but now if anyone have a mind to come over to their sect, he is not immediately admitted, but he is prescribed the same method of living which they use for a year while he continues excluded, and they give him a small hatchet and the aforementioned girdle and the white garment. And when he have given evidence during the time that he can observe their countenance, he approaches nearer to their way of living and is made partaker of the waters of purification. Yet is he not even now admitted to live with them. For after this demonstration of his fortitude, his tempter is tried 2 more years. And if he appear to be worthy, this is how a new member gets into the Essenes. Says this, his temper is tried 2 more years. And if he appear to be worthy, they then admit him into their society, and before his is allowed to touch their common food, he is obliged to take tremendous oaths that in the first place he will exercise piety towards God, and then that he will observe justice towards men, and that he will do no harm